My analog project 2011 continues in the month of October with the Canon Canonet QL17 GIII. This camera, manufactured by Canon in 1972, is a 35mm rangefinder camera that features a 40mm lens that shoots at f1.7 to f16. The camera has a maximum shutter speed of 0.05 of a second. It has an ISO range from 25 to 800, a focusing distance as little as 2.6 feet or 0.8 meters out to infinity. This camera's features are selectable here on the lens barrel. The outermost lens ring here represents the shutter speed, so you simply rotate it to select the correct shutter speed. On the side, there are these little indicators here, sunny, cloudy, and indoor, to help you better gauge the shutter speed based on the lighting conditions. The next ring in represents the ISO. There's a little window right here and a little lever here on the side. You press this lever in and slide it up and down, and it allows you to change your ISO setting here. The next ring in represents your f-stops or your aperture. You simply rotate it to select your aperture. There's also a red A on there, and when the camera is on the A setting, you're in a semi-automatic mode. So you select the shutter speed and the camera will select the correct aperture. The last ring on the lens barrel is the focusing ring. You have a focusing lever here on the side. It's a 40-degree lever, so it's very short. So that makes this probably one of the fastest focusing 35mm film rangefinders on the market, or at least from back in the day. Being able to focus quickly is a big help when you're doing street photography. A lot of people love that about this camera, very fast focusing. The other features on this camera, you have on the side here, you have up under this cover, you pull this flap down and you have a PC socket for your flash. You also have the rewind button, the flash hot shoe, the film advance, and shutter release button, as well as a film counter down in there as well. If you look on the bottom, you have the typical rewind button, the tripod socket, and the battery compartment, the battery well. On the back, you have a battery check button. You press this little red button and the light comes on to let you know you still have life in your battery. You also have two windows here. One window has red and white stripes in it. When you advance the film, these red and white stripes move back and forth, and you have another window here that turns red when the shutter is cocked. So if you look at the name of the camera, the Canonet QL17, the 17 stands for f1.7, but the QL stands for quick loading. So Canon developed this quick loading system for the film, and I'll show you how that works. It's real easy. You have this big mechanism here on the side where the take-up reel is. It's a big metal door with a bunch of hinges and springs and sprockets down in there. So I have this dummy film. So basically you take this film, you take any film, right? You load it in your camera, put your rewind crank down. So you have this little red indicator right here on the take-up reel side. You grab your film lead, you pull it over to that red indicator and drop it down in there. You close the film back, snap it closed, and you advance the film maybe 3 times. And that's it. The camera is loaded. So that makes this a worthwhile invention for Canon to come up with that. Most people struggle loading the little film down into the slot and getting the sprockets all lined up. And if you don't get it right, you got to open it up and do it again. But this little mechanism here grabs that film and pulls it in every single time without fail. And once again, you can see, I don't know if you can see this, but the little red and white stripes, when I advance the film lever, you should see them move back and forth. So that's an indicator that things are working correctly. And as well, the window turns red when the shutter is cocked, and then when you release the shutter, it should turn white again. So there you go. Another one of the favorite features of this camera is not really a feature. All right, when the battery is dead, or if you have no battery in this camera is still fully functional. You still have full control of the shutter speed, the aperture, and the focus on this camera. Unlike a lot of rangefinders and point-and-shoot film cameras from the 70s, without the battery, the camera defaults to something like a shutter speed of 1/125th of a second. Some cameras shut down completely, but this camera keeps on driving through. Great, you know, you don't have to worry about batteries with this camera if you don't want to. Of course, you still have to know a little bit about f-stop and shutter speed and the combination of the two when using a camera in full manual mode, but at least you can still use the camera, unlike a lot of other cameras from that era. So the Canon Canonet QL17 GIII is what I'll be shooting with for the month of October on my Analog Project 2011. You can look for the photographs on my Flickr photo stream or on dread242.com. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you tune in next time when I feature another camera from my vintage collection. So here it is, the Canon QL17 GIII, my Analog Project 2011. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.